first up this week, we're going to start with the public service announcements like we always do, because if you only hear one thing, I want it to be the things you need to know to avoid like buying a bad product.
Yes.
And the first
absolutely.
public service announcement is about the Speedybee ESC.
Yes. Specifically, it looks like it's the V2, which is the one they're shipping now as the Speedybee ESC. And the V2 and the V2.1 seem to be the revisions that they've made. But unfortunately, what's happening is with these, when you enable bidirectional D-Shot, the motor beacon does not work. The D-Shot beacon does not work, and then it makes the motor stop working, basically. So yeah,
Until you power cycle?
Yes, yeah. So you'll like turn on bidirectional D-Shot, and then you try to hit the beacon, and then everything just basically kind of messes up. And even if you're armed, the report is even if you're armed and you hit the beeper switch, they'll shut off. So that is something that Speedybee has addressed and said is a problem. They're blaming it on BLHeli. And
but it's bigger than that. I know where you're going to say next, and before you talk about that, I think the problem is bigger than that, because I got an email from somebody a little while back, and it was about like literally dead ESCs. Like they were. I don't remember if they were smoking or if they just like stopped responding in BLHeli. I think the issue is bigger than just the specific D-Shot beacon thing. Do you have an opinion about that?
Yeah, I do too. So this is the basic, like I think the basic like verifiable thing that happens on all of these, because there's like a firmware problem, is this D-Shot beacon issue. But it seems like there's a secondary issue which many people are experiencing, which is on this ESC. When you try to fly it, it just burns up. Like for whatever reason, something is happening to cause these to burn up. And so this has been a common report. We've heard back and forth a little bit, but there wasn't quite enough for me to put it together before this week. And then more people were talking about it today in your Discord, actually. And one of the moderators we know very well, Hero, in the Discord, actually got one of these, found out about the issue today, flashed the new firmware that Speedybee sent out. So
that supposedly fixes the issue.
Yeah, it's 2.8.2, and they've been emailing it to people individually. And so he flashed that firmware. And unfortunately, we've got his report here as that second Imager album. If you want to pull that up just so we can show how he said it, basically. But yeah, he basically said, yeah, I did 30 seconds to make sure the motors were okay. Everything seemed okay. I took off again, did a tiny snap roll and turned. And, my quad dropped out of the sky, wouldn't take off, walked up, race wire was lit, and the motor was smoking.
So race wire being lit means there was a short, a dead short through the motor pole.
Right, and this happened at 2:45, and then he messaged me at 3:30 and said somebody else just emailed me, Stelina from our Discord, emailed me and said his friend tried to use it for firmware, and the same thing happened. He fried a motor within a minute. So whatever's happening here, there's enough of these reports that I have seen from various people, emails we've received, Discord reports, Speedybee acknowledging there are issues with the firmware and releasing new firmware. That this seems like a huge issue. So
yeah, and we heard about this several weeks back. Someone emailed me with the problem. I immediately reached out to Runcam and I said, "Hey, do you guys have any comment about this?" And Speedybee is Runcam. They're the same company, but Speedybee. And they said, "Well, there's an issue with BLHeli. And we think it's pretty rare, and anybody who's affected by it will replace their ESC." So I was like, okay, well, I'll take their word for it for now that it's rare. And anybody who contacted me about it, I would tell them, contact Speedybee, they'll send you a new ESC. The problem is that it doesn't look like it. I mean, define rare. Like, let's say you sold 5,000 ESCs. I don't know, you made that number up. And it's rare, it's only like 1%. Well, you still have 500 people with bad ESCs. That's a pretty big number. I don't know what the numbers are, but and if they do send you a new ESC and it also fries, which has happened to people, I've gotten reports of that. Somebody said, look, I'm on my third ESC. I'm tired of being sent free ESCs. Send me an ESC that works. So I think our opinion right now is, number one, if you have a Speedybee ESC and you've had this problem, you are due another ESC if you want it.
Yes.
Theoretically, they will fix this in firmware. Although if it's a firmware problem, why is only this one ESC affected? Right?
Yeah. I don't know. They said something in that first statement that they released. It's unfortunately they used a word. I don't really know what it stands for, but they said the engineer's explanation to me is that not all 14s will trigger this bug. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure what word that was supposed to be.
14s. Yeah, I don't know what that is either. That's not really a word.
Yeah.
I don't think I would buy a Speedybee V2 ESC today until, we had some indication that this was solved. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeffy the Quick. Thank you. 1% of 5,000 is 50, not 500. Sorry, I wasn't really thinking.
Just so you're aware as well, this is the one that comes in the Speedybee stack. So if you buy the Speedybee F7's V2 stack, you're also going to get this ESC in that stack. So I think we would suggest to avoid that stack and the single ESC.
Yeah. Okay. And as would be the only responsible thing to do, we certainly will do another update at some point in the future when hopefully this issue is solved, if there is a clear point when this issue is solved. But for now, I mean, I would put the kibosh on this ESC until they solve it. Even if it's thing is, even if it's a low chance of it happening, why would you take a chance? It's that great of an ESC that you're like, I must have it. I don't care if there's a chance that it fries and crashes my quad. I'll roll the dice. Just buy an ESC that isn't going to fry.